Well, we got bad news for that lady. She's most likely going to have to vote for Joe Establishment Woodchuck Biden, as Super Tuesday 2 is officially over, and it looks like Joe Biden is having a decisive win against Bernie Sanders, and the race is becoming less winnable for him, as Joe Biden now officially has 823 delegates. Sanders has 663, and last night, I think it's a show of things to come, as of course Joe Biden took major states in Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, and Idaho, while, of course, Bernie Sanders won North Dakota, and while everyone is still waiting for the results to come into Washington, which Bernie Sanders is actually leading by 97% of the precincts reporting, still waiting for the rest of the reports to come in there. But, Tim, this looks pretty decisive for Joe Biden, which is shocking for a lot of people, especially with how Joe Biden has been acting on the campaign trail recently.
It is, but let's take it to the Situation Room over here with Wolf Blitzer, because this is absolutely hilarious. I mean, this sort of reminds me of like when Steve Harvey was doing the Miss Universe pageant. So here we go.
And we have our first projection of the night. Bernie Sanders, not happening right now. Joe Biden.
Bernie Sanders is the winner not happening right now. I mean, how hilarious is that? It's not hilarious if you like the Democratic Party, because what they're doing is essentially alienating probably about 30% of their voters. Where this sort of reminds me of what happened during the Ron Paul days, where Mitt Romney and that whole crew did everything they could to stymie Ron Paul, and then everyone in that Ron Paul movement, there's no way that we were going to go ahead and vote for Mitt Romney. And so this is sort of it reminds me a lot of that situation. I mean, because I don't think they could have picked almost a worse person in terms of the Democrats of who to throw up there. I mean, everything you want to get Trump on, that the fake media wants to drum up on him, are all the same stuff that you can talk about for Joe Biden. I mean, they want to talk about how Trump is a racist. Well, Joe Biden's the one who set up the 94 crime bill and set up all the 94 all the drug courts that he still brags about to this day. And then he's going out there wanting to, ban people from having raves. He's made other videos where he said he wants to go out and find people out in the desert who are having these parties out there. And so there's all these quote unquote, liberal issues, especially when it comes to different drug policy stuff, that Joe Biden is absolutely horrendous on. And so I see this as almost the Democrats trying to throw this election. I mean, it maybe could be for economic reasons, but what do you think, Luke? Do you think that they're trying to throw this election, or that?
Yeah, I mean, there has to be some kind of like establishment deal that every 4 years, when we have an incumbent president, we just throw the weakest, like most disgusting, candidate that will say anything to get elected. If you look at Joe Biden's career, it's a career of just doing whatever the status quo is, just being able to be in a position of power. Now, before I get into even more about Joe Biden, Wolf Blitzer, he's pretty much like the Alex Jones, but for sheep. Seriously, breaking news! We got breaking news coming in. And I just turned it on a few moments ago just to kind of see what the latest propaganda was. And it's just amazing to see this nonstop bombardment, bastardization of breaking news, which is utterly ridiculous. And it's not news, it's propaganda. This is why on CNN you see the anchors saying, oh, it's like a dream come true. Joe Biden finally wins. That's literally what the Don Lemon said on his broadcast. And that's not fair and accurate journalism. And let's not pretend like there's not a slant against Bernie Sanders, because he has been decisively getting hit by a lot of the establishment, but he also hasn't been hitting back. And he's been not that strong with fighting back. Now, of course, he has his issues and he has his policies. But at the end of the day, I mean, I definitely disagree with Bernie Sanders, but I could understand where they're coming from. But with Joe Biden, this is a perplexing, weird case. I mean, even yesterday, there was a viral video with him arguing with a union guy about AR-14s. And the ridiculous of that is just mind-boggling to see him on stage, barely being able to pronounce words sometimes. And this is the guy that they put forward. Now, again, Bernie, not a fan of him. He also had a heart attack. But again, this election, I mean, to me, putting Joe Biden in there, it's just throwing it, in my opinion. What do you think?
I think it absolutely is throwing that. We are playing the video in the background. So we'll
Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire.
But yeah, I mean, he cursed. We can't curse on this YouTube channel. So let's not play some of the audio here. But he got really mad about an average Joe confronting Joe Biden, and I think this interaction is kind of telling to him kind of losing it, not being calm, not being cool, not being collected, not having it together. I mean, there's nothing else that really says it from this video. I mean, I get crazy people coming up to me at conferences. I get confronted with individuals putting cameras in my face. Happened a couple of times, and it's like, well, let's just talk about it. Now, of course, it's grueling to be out there public speaking and meeting people, nonstop. But maybe this is not the best job for people over the age of 70. Some people thrive in it. You could see Donald Trump when he's at his speeches, he thrives. He gets off of that energy. You don't see the same from Joe Biden. And again, I say that not as a supporter of Donald Trump, but that's just the legitimate kind of observation that I've made, seeing both of these people speak up front. Again, I confronted Joe Biden on a lot of different things. Establishment shill politician that will just say anything. And to me, this is just another John Kerry. This is just another lame John McCain. This is yet just another not strong establishment shill just thrown in there that's going to lose it, take one on the chin for Donald Trump to, of course, continue on his presidency, which most likely will happen. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I've been saying all along, I mean, initially, and if you go back to 2016, actually when Trump first entered the race in 2015, I actually thought that Donald Trump had a very good chance of winning. I mean, a lot of people thought that I was absolutely crazy. My grandfather staged an intervention with me in October 2016, saying I was crazy for telling people I thought Trump had a good shot of winning. And then I thought that Donald Trump then sort of blew it with striking Syria, and I thought this economic stuff would come back to bite him. The first podcast I ever made, because when I first officially launched my actual podcast, was the week Donald Trump won. And what I said was, listen, almost everything that I thought was going to happen in that podcast is coming like exactly how things are playing out. That if he goes and he tries to save the economy, he tries to fix everything, that's not why I wanted him there. I wanted him in there to be able to pick up the pieces, not to be able to blow the bubble even bigger. So now we're seeing that the bubble is now popping in the economy. He's already taken all the credit. And so it leads us to wonder, to some extent, he's actually very lucky that now this can be blamed on the coronavirus as opposed to being blamed on him, which obviously the media will blame it on him anyways. But I think they are at this point trying to throw it. I mean, because what happens is now I think that if Joe Biden were to win, then there could be some, cause for, hey, he's not making things better with the economy, and then Democrats, aren't able to win again. But if Trump wins again and the economy is just really, really in the hole by then maybe quote unquote conservatives, and I'll say that in air quotes over there, maybe they get discredited and they aren't able to really bounce back from it. And now we've got socialism for a while. So I think they're actually trying to throw this right now for Donald Trump, which is a weird thing to say, because why would you put up Joe Biden? I mean, Joe Biden, I saw someone today, they posted a statement from Joe Biden's doctor, and it said something along the lines of, yeah, we've done all these different tests and Joe Biden's in great shape. However, we have not done any cognitive tests, but just the fact that he's out there on the campaign trail is proof enough that he basically is performing all of his cognitive functions. And as Luke has pointed out, when it comes to going on the campaign trail, having people come up to you, even doing videos like this, it does get exhausting, and you can probably at one point have just get this kind of a glazed look on your face. But with Joe Biden, I think that he definitely has early onset dementia. I'm not a doctor, but just take a look but he just repeats. He's made his entire career out of repeating stuff other people have said. He went to school at Syracuse University. I'm from Syracuse, New York, so I'm well aware of Joe Biden. He, I believe, was caught plagiarizing on 3 separate occasions, almost kicked out of school. I think he was finished like 3rd or 4th from the bottom of his class, which, interestingly enough, if you finish last in your law school, that they call you Your Honor. So I guess that's why he's not a judge. But yeah, I think they're trying to throw this. It's sort of perplexing because I know the media and the establishment doesn't want Donald Trump, but maybe they want to have him. They blame this entire crash on him, and then now they get to come look as the saviors, and they get to remake things in their image.
I would even argue that the establishment does want Donald Trump, because again, as we look, the establishment, especially the mainstream media, they're having a heyday. The mainstream media was almost done. People weren't paying attention to it before Donald Trump. Donald Trump came in and gave a lot of the fuel for the mainstream media, and there's a love-hate relationship between these two that is mutually cohesive to both of them. I don't like both of them, and we criticize both of them. I mean, if you want to know where I stand politically, you can check out some of our merchandise. I actually sent you a link, but we're having a new shirt launch with Donald Trump that says "Make Israel and Saudi Arabia Great Again." We have another shirt with Joe Biden that says "I'm Joe Biden and I forgot this message." And of course, we also have another shirt with Bernie Sanders where he's standing in front of a creepy truck that says "Free Everything" on it. Come on in. But that's our representation of everything. You're stuck between very bad choices. Now, again, also one last thing before we go. Bernie had a lot of energy. Just not so long ago, people were talking about him. People were really thinking that he was going to get this. I thought he was really going to get this too. That energy now, it's not showing in the kind of primaries. But again, we have to understand: is this a symptom of the woke crowd not voting, not participating, or is this a sign that the woke crowd is pretty much non-existent and only vocal on Twitter? Which one of those two synopses do you think is true? I would love to hear your feedback down in the comment section below, because we're going to leave that question up to you. Tim, do you want to say anything else before we leave?
Yeah, I think the last thing I want to point out is to some extent, Donald Trump is able to get things done for the establishment that almost no one else can. I mean, just imagine we had all these Tea Party people in back in 2012, 13, 14. Well, now the Tea Party is basically dead. Nobody cares about the budget. Donald Trump even said recently, budget? Who cares about the budget? We've got a country now. Look at defense spending is up. Giving more money to pharma. Like all these supposed enemies of the big Fortune 500 companies that hate him, like Amazon, Apple, they're all massive since he's gotten in there. And so he's able to, and the Tea Party is essentially dead at this point. If I want to have a message talking about smaller government, I mean, I'm called a libtard now. If I want to talk about balancing the budget, I'm a libtard. If anyone wants to know where I stand politically, I'm a delegate for the Libertarian Party, but I don't even like the Libertarian Party. I mean, so I'm an equal opportunity hater all the way around. So, I'm just there to, point out what's going on as, someone that, sees a lot of this, what's going on at a higher level. But yeah, I think with Sleepy Joe Biden that he's in there to be the fall guy, and who knows, maybe the real pick is whoever his nominee is, and I could see him maybe picking like a Kamala Harris or maybe a Cory Booker to try to get the African American vote, and maybe Joe Biden doesn't even make it the entire time, and so we really have to focus on who he picks as his VP, because it's really the VP pick, in my opinion, that could probably help bolster his chances of potentially winning this.
And I think that VP pick is going to come a lot quicker than we expected to. So it's going to be interesting to see how this race develops. Now, Bernie Sanders is not dropping out. He will still continue to debate Joe Biden, but many people are calling it, well, we're going to be calling it from here as we see it. If you like the way that we reported it, share this video with your friends and family members. We have a brand new channel. We're trying to start a brand new thing, and we can only do that with your help and participation. Thank you so much for watching Change the News Channel.